Jordan Henderson, once of Liverpool, your club, Danny, and then he decided the Saudi Pro League is for me. Why was he going? This was what he said at the time.
That's exciting times, you know. The project and something different is definitely a reason why I wanted to come here. And over the next few years, I'm sure it will grow, and I want to be part of that to try and help it grow. And I love football, so I want to try to grow all over the world. And I know the people in Saudi love football, and hopefully we can keep continuing to grow the league and over the next few years, and hopefully I can be a big part of that.
talkSPORT Saudi correspondent Ben Jacobs joins us live. Ben, good morning to you. When does Jordan land back in the UK?
Good morning. He's en route as we speak. So today in the UK, and then in the next few days, finalising what we believe to be a move to Ajax on a 1.5-year contract, possibly with a 1-year option to extend and a 75% pay cut. And this moved very quickly because at the beginning of the week, Henderson had arrived in Abu Dhabi for a mid-season training camp. Al-Ettifaq don't have a league game until mid-February. And the club were clear he was not for sale unless he told them directly, as opposed to what they'd read in the media, he wanted to leave. That happened. And then there was no conversation with Ajax. There was no formal offer. Instead, it's a contract termination that allows Al-Ettifaq to free up about 8 million and means that Jordan Henderson can control his next move. There's an agreement in principle with Ajax. So by the weekend, we expect the medical and him to be out of Saudi Arabia.
I mean, Ben, you've got your ear close to the ground as to matters Saudi sport, and of course the Saudi Pro League go right across the lot. What happened here?
Well, I think that Jordan Henderson didn't do his due diligence, and the Saudi Pro League is moving so fast that ultimately there's a danger that the infrastructure doesn't match the ambition. So Henderson joined a smaller club with attendances of under 7,000 in Dammam. His family were living in Bahrain. He was crossing over the border. He had a place in Saudi Arabia too. He didn't settle. His first 4 or 5 games were in 40-degree heat. So we heard there about the project, but it's obvious that money was a motivating factor. And I think in the last 6 months or so, Henderson has realised his Euro 2024 place is under threat. He's not been enjoying it in Saudi Arabia, even though in fairness, the Saudi side will argue they've got plenty of evidence that he has had a productive 6 months. It clearly hasn't worked out. And I think Henderson started the year probably thinking, I've got no football until mid-February. My team's got nothing to play for in the league. They're mid-table. Is the package I'm on and the long-term vision worth sticking it out at risk of not making what will be his final international tournament for England? And in addition to that, facing the drop in standard. And that prompted him to self-represent and to start looking. So Trent Alexander-Arnold's brother Tyler did the original deal over the summer. Henderson drove this move himself. And once he realised, I think, that there was this Ajax option, the writing was always on the wall.
Simon, who comes out of this looking worse, Henderson or the Saudi Pro League?
Who comes out of it looking worse? I don't think it's a good look, for particularly for either of them. I mean, the Saudis are very ambitious, and they have every right to be. They have every right to promote their league and build it and ultimately give themselves an opportunity to compete in world football. And then they must fall in line with the other financial fair play that other countries have to adhere to so they don't break the ecosystem. And so they have every right to invest in the front end. They must be disappointed that one of the leading names that's gone over, they're not the only one, but one of the big names that's associated with a big English football club that's playing for his country has decided that it's not for him. Specifically when he's gone out there with some ridiculous diatribe about the fact that he wants to grow the game. The flip side of the other equation is that what does it make Jordan Henderson look like? Does it make him look like a man of substance? Does it make him look like a man of character that overcomes adversity and ultimately shows you that when things aren't going his way, that he's capable of turning it around and making it better? Look, I don't think it's great either which way. I think it proves the point that the Saudi League have got a long way to go to be able to create the backdrop where the world's best players will want to play in it. And that will take time, and that's understandable. And I also think that, you know, it also shows the indulged and pampered natures of the modern-day footballer. At the moment they get something they don't want, they can change it. I'm surprised they've made it as easy for him. I suspect it's one thing saying they get to write off or reduce the cost implications of the salary that he was on going forwards. It's another thing, didn't they pay £12 million for him? They've just thrown it out the window to facilitate a solution for him. When you say a contract termination, Ben, they've just torn up his contract with no further liabilities on either party. So he gets no more salary. They have no more claims on him. That's what you're saying, yes?
No, Ettifaq are arguing it's a bit more complicated than that. First of all, they're saying that the transfer fee's 4 million, not 12 million. Second of all, they're saying that they've written off and thus freed up the funds that they would have paid him in the second half of the season. But they're also arguing that Henderson is paying them something. And they're arguing, which is very strange legally, that what we would construe an add-on, if it was a club-to-club negotiation, will be contingent on Henderson to pay. So should he join Ajax and they qualify for European football, Henderson will owe Al-Ettifaq a further payment as well. So he is actually paying something from his own pocket.
Right. So he is foregoing any contractual obligations because he wants out of them anyway. There's no further liabilities, and actually there may be some benefits for the Saudi club, which is them dressing.
Well, there might also be a thought in his mind as well. By doing that, I know he's probably got to have to do it, but by doing that, it kind of rights the wrongs of people accusing him of the greed and the money that he went for.
He's going to pay them with their own money, isn't he?
Yes, in effect.
I mean,
but
Danny, where's he going? He's going to Ajax, who are 5th, 23 points adrift of PSV.
Well, I think it's as close to home as probably he can get. I don't know if there's an abundance of offers on the table, probably.
I wonder if it's a condition precedent that the Saudi club have said that you can't just rock back into the Premier League, that you need to go to an alternate league.
Maybe.
I
think what it does show is there's definitely... In a lesser way financially, but I've definitely had that fight myself when I played with the football happiness in life, and maybe any job or any walk of life where you've got contentment at home, away from, and then on the pitch as well. Because for me personally, every time I had a prolonged period where I wasn't going to play, I thought I wasn't going to play, I went to find that happiness on the pitch, irrelevant of money. One of the moves I took a pay cut for. Minimal, granted, but I still took it.
No, true.
And
true.
I think if this is a lesson for others looking in from afar, really, really think hard about, depending on your financial situation, sometimes it's a no-brainer, but he was very wealthy anyway. And actually, football contentment is a starting place for the rest of it was for me.
Yeah.
The rest of my life being happy, if I was happier at work. And it might be something other people translate to their own lives. But Jordan here has messed it up, really. He's I don't think from Liverpool fans' perspective, but I think from a broad spectrum of football people, his character and his reputation has been damaged by this whole episode.
And I don't think landing at Ajax is a redemption, because there aren't many transactions. Every time we see someone go over to Holland, we tend to attach ridicule to it. You see Steve McClaren going over there and doing his very best impression of a daffodil.
But he did win the league as a manager, to be fair.
Granted, but he didn't come back with an enhanced reputation, did he?
Yeah. I mean, Danny, on the football side of it, does Jordan Henderson of Ajax stand a better chance of being on the plane with Southgate in the summer than Jordan Henderson of Al-Ettifaq?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I mean, Ajax are struggling and have been nowhere near the levels they've been in previous seasons. So going into a big club that's struggling isn't going to be easy. Because Jordan Henderson, although he's been a wonderful player, he's not easy on the eye.
Yeah.
He's not coming in like some...
I know
Brazilian skillful ball player who all of a sudden fans sit up and go,
he's a workhorse, isn't he?
He's a grower.
Yeah.
He grows on you, Jordan. The more you see him and he's not there, you think we're missing him.
Except when you're trying to grow the game, of course.
Oh, of course,
Ben Jacobs, thank you very much indeed, as always, for your input. Saudi's the talkSPORT Saudi correspondent, Ben, of course, with the very latest in that Henderson is now en route and heading back. But, it's a fair one to put out there. We heard from him earlier on about, I'm delighted to be part of something that's growing. I hope to grow the game in Saudi Arabia. And now, all those months in, he's not all that happy, so he's coming home. Who does come out of this looking worse? Is it Henderson or is it the Saudi Pro League?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.